Yeah, so it will hopefully be a relatively quick run through of a few things. We're going to look, just make sure we're all aware of the target audiences for the sort of concept as a whole, rather than the very specific ones for each show. Jonathan's just going to give us a quick run through of each show again, the context and the audiences for each one of those. We've got Mike on hand to have a chat about how to use Facebook groups and how we can use those to our advantage for reaching local audiences. We've got a couple of packs to run through as well about audience research and engagement, and also just a general marketing pack, which that's more just a kind of, we'll send you those after basically, but just a quick look at them together so you know the structure and how they work. Frank, who's joined us here, has put those together, so any questions, feel free to direct them their way.
I forgot, sorry, just to say I'm recording this meeting, by the way, so for people that aren't able to be here, or if you want to share it afterwards as well, if you don't want to be on camera or anything, please turn your camera off now, but I should let you know. Anyway, sorry, back over to you.
Cool. Fine, so to start off with, we'll just sort of have a quick look at the audiences, which we've got quite a descriptive target audience for this one. Obviously, the main aim is to reach pre-existing bookers, lapsed pre-existing bookers, and encourage them to come back to a venue that they want to support. So yeah, pre-existing but lapsed bookers who may occasionally visit but have a wide number of other local opportunities and have fallen out of the habit of attending your theatre in the last few years. So these are mostly dormitory dependables, trips and treats, and home and heritage segments. They're all from the segments from the Audience Finder, Audience Agency website, which have really clear definitions of each kind of segment. It's definitely worth looking up because it has a real drill down into kind of their profiles, their behaviours, their kind of general income, what they're spending their money on as kind of groups. So it's really useful to understand those and you consider kind of how you're reaching them. And the main thing is we want to remind them of what their local venues have to offer. So they're probably already aware of the venue, but just have kind of forgotten about them a bit. And then the second is, again, from Audience Agency definitions, commuter and culture buffs and experience seekers, as they can feel underserved by local art scenes and might not be followers of their local channels. With these audiences, we face a lot of competition from major brands, streaming, cinema and gaming as well. So those two are a bit more kind of wider reaching and up for finding new things and trying new experiences and stuff like that, probably generally have a little bit more income. So they're really strong audiences to reach, but because of that, they're being targeted by a lot of other culture and arts as well. So it's just kind of being aware of those things. Yeah, so they're the audiences we're trying to reach specifically with the 2-for-1 offer. Jonathan, if you can give us a quick bit of context on each of the shows and their audiences too, that would be useful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like each show maybe works best for certain segments than the others. So it's sort of your campaign and how it links to the Take Your Seat will sort of be determined, I think, by the show that you're taking. So we're having 3 pre-tour marketing meetings with the creative teams behind the shows. The first one was yesterday, so if you missed that on the Rest of Our Lives and you're taking that, I did just share the recording round, but if you haven't got that, then please let me know. I'll send it your way. It's with Jo, who was the dancer at the piece, and she's very, very passionate. And the meeting did go slightly longer than we expected because she's got so much to share about it. The show is about sort of what they describe themselves as an old dancer and an old clown, and it's all about the sort of as you go into decline of midlife, that they call it, but it's a real like uplifting, joyful, funny piece, which I think would work really well for maybe some of you, your middle-aged bookers, your older bookers. Lots of our venues tend to have a slightly older age group coming along, so this will be really play into the hands of the sort of dormitory dependables, commuter and culture buff audiences as well. And if you think about it in terms of having take your seats in the 2-for-1, maybe that could be a group of women bringing along their friends and trying to organise a group outing or something like that. They really benefit from that around this show. fatherhood. We have a call tomorrow actually with Shane from the company, who's the man from the one person show. This is, I would say, maybe more towards experience seekers. This is the sort of it's telling a story about being a father and having a father in the 21st century, and how it's also an extra element of it is about telling a story from a sort of mixed heritage as well. So he's half Turkish, half Austrian, and he's been raising a child in Britain as well, and he has all of these sort of different factors in his life. But as well as telling that story himself, he's also telling the story of two different fathers from different generations as well. So it's real crosses, around the world, different generations as well, and how sort of the notion of fatherhood has changed. So I could see this really working, as I say, experience seekers. Maybe it's younger families, or young professionals, maybe becoming a father for the first time. Maybe it's a good thing to go, if they're going out for, leaving the kids at home, or the group of dads going together. You could really go after that sort of slightly younger adult age group as well, that I know that we all want to attract to our venues more. And finally, A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings. This is ideal for sort of key stage 2 to early key stage 3 children. It's a sort of amazing piece of puppetry and storytelling performance from this Irish company, and it's the show by a story by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So it does have that sort of people recognise the name of that author, and it might be a piece that the kids have read in school or in their libraries as well. So I think there is a real, perhaps this will go into maybe your sort of dormitory dependable audience again, but slightly younger ones, with looking for things to do with their children. Perhaps grandparents may want to take their kids out to it as well. So you might look at sort of the trips and treats audience for that. But it sort of, I think, plays into, there's lots of work for younger children, but maybe that's that sort of time period that doesn't get offered too much in touring theatre. So I think it's amazing how it's done with the puppetry and the sort of small camera and projection that builds into the piece as well. So I really think that these free shows, depending which ones you're doing, you can take the campaign any way you like, and it will work for attracting very different audiences. So I think it should be hopefully very beneficial for you guys in terms of an audience development tool. I hope that's everything. Anne, anything else you want me to cover? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. No, I think that's a useful, bit of context for kind of what we're working with as well. So we'll go on in a moment just to speak. I think we've had a previous chat about the value of kind of community engagement and really reaching out to local audiences and making sure they're aware of your kind of work and stuff as well, beyond just adverts and flyering kind of thing, like sort of the research and that sort of thing. So we'll go on to a bit more of that in a second. But Mike runs a lot of Facebook groups across the UK, and we've asked him to come and have a chat about how best to engage audiences using those and how we can use those to our advantage.
Hello everyone. My name's Mike Wilson, and it says on my business card I'm a fun facilitator. So I've had about 50 years experience of organising and managing events. It doesn't seem possible, does it really? But when Facebook surfaced in 2004, I started using that medium to list local gigs and productions in the town I was living in, because no one knew what was going on. I set up a thing called Gigs Out that expanded right across the East Anglia. We've got connections with other big things like Grapevine magazine. 5 years ago, I started the East Anglian Festival Network, and that's quite big. We've now got partnerships with national concerns and the destination management organisations. So it's all got quite big. I manage over 20 Facebook groups, countless pages, and follow around 700 myself. So I'm not technical at all, right? I must put that down. My family would tell you that. I'm very practical, common sense type approach. My master's was in projects and quality management and safety management and things like that, where you've got to take that sort of approach. So I've been asked to come along today to talk about the Facebook groups and the use of those for use in your marketing, etc. I think I believe that they are much more powerful tool than the pages themselves, and because you get engagement with your audience, and you can target, figure out who they are, and get in there and actually talk to them and sell your theatre or your venue or your touring group. I think about we've got a couple of dozen theatres that are members of House in East Anglia. We've actually expanded. We're not just East Anglia. We cover Essex as well as Norfolk, Suffolk, and Cambridgeshire. So we've got a couple of dozen of your people there. I don't know whether anyone is on this call from East Anglia, but I'm in Suffolk at the moment. So I was looking at Google today, and you wouldn't think there was any theatre productions going on in Suffolk if you looked at the top level stuff, you know. But if you're in a little theatre in a town in Suffolk, for say, you can go out there and you can find, get your target audience. It could be community groups. So there's a lot of town and village community Facebook groups. They're really worth getting in, because that's where the people start to, you know, the trip organisers hang out. So you can, if they see, you know, you might be able to get, especially 2 for 1, get those offers in. So yeah, so first figure out who your audience is and target them. Yeah, get the right groups to go on. Make sure your post is going to be eye-catching. I mean, Mobius will talk about all that sort of stuff, but it's got to be eye-catching, relevant. It's got to ensure it has all the key information in it. You'd be surprised how many posts I see that have key information like the date or the venue, the location missing. It's ridiculous. So yeah, use tags. I mean, Facebook, you can actually use tags like you can in Instagram and Twitter, you know. So hashtag, put the hashtags at the end, theatre, whatever it is you're trying to get. Yeah, so this is a very, very quick, informal overview. I've got no presentation or anything to show you. So, but you're welcome to come back to me, you know, outside of this meeting. Where do you post it? As I said, in the best places. Post it in the best places. Now that could be on Gigs Out in East Anglia, is one of my groups. It's got over 4,000 people who regularly follow it and have followed it for years.
You popped onto mute, Mike, for some reason.
I must have touched my mouse. I'm sorry about that. See, I told you I'm not technical. So yeah, I'm trying to sort of just go through all this quite quickly. Don't be annoying is another thing. There's a lot of people who post 3 or 4 times a day on the same site and that sort of thing, and it you know, you've got to time it quite at least 4 weeks before the gig. Get it out there, you know, earlier if possible, but regular, not too often. The technical side, if you look into insights on Facebook, you know, look at the reach and everything, you can work out the best day to post it, the best time on that day. so it gets a bit technical then, so I shall avoid that. But you probably know more about that than me, some of you, if you're into your PR. That's spam is another thing. You know, make sure that you avoid any dodgy words and things like that, because you could actually because a lot of these sites have admins who don't actually keep on top of it, and you could be sat in a queue waiting to be posted that have been picked up by the Facebook admin assist type software, and you've got a perfectly good post, but it, you know, it's just sat there waiting. Yeah, if you're going to have, I mean, I've noticed that there aren't many Facebook groups from theatres, if you like, that get in with their local area. So that might be a thing you could look at. You know, create your own Facebook communities, group communities. There is some regional ones, but they tend to concentrate on the staff, the techies, and the artists and performers, not the crowd. So overall, in summary, I think know your audience and engage with them. However you do that, make your posts eye-catching and relevant. Include all the key information and links. Link to other people, get them to share it. You know, all your so you might have touring artists who are coming around who've got loads of followers. Get them to share your stuff, and post at the optimum time. I mean, that is if you follow some of that, I know it's pretty basic stuff, and I'm probably preaching to the converted here, but that is what I do when I push out the stuff I do still run some events, even though I'm very busy on the network side. But hopefully you'll get out there and you'll sell lots of tickets. And I know this promotion looks pretty good. It's very similar to the National Lottery one that we helped publicise in this area. Was it last year? I can't remember now. Just after COVID, but that worked very well. You know, everyone likes a bargain, especially these days. So hope it all goes well for everyone. And I know I'm not in your world particularly, but I do like my theatre. I go to the theatre quite a lot, and I do a little bit of scare acting and things like that as well, and Dickensian stuff in the local hall. So there you go. Thank you for that. Hope that was of some use to you.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Just quick, in terms of, you were saying about like eye-catching content, do you find specific types of content work? Like, do you think things with images or videos work better, or quick text?
Yep. Posters are good. If you've got an eye-catching poster, include that, because people tend to click on them. So, and that, you know, that's engagement. So that's a good one to do. Videos are good. People tend, you know, I'm not sure on Facebook groups particularly, they're more for other media, you know, Instagram and etc. Just keep them colourful. If you're going to have a poster, make it so it's legible. You know, I see so many dark ones, you can't even see what it says. So you know, just a simple, effective one. Colourful works, and bright, legible, stylish. Include all the information on it as well. That's really important. Has that answered your question? I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Hi. I have a question also. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Cool. You mentioned cross-platform marketing. within Facebook itself, do you tend to use the events function, or do you find it seems like people seem to use it a bit less?
Yeah, the events function. I still create events. It's not used that much now. So it's worth putting one on. You know, you get a few people, but I mean, I tend to just use Eventbrite for the things I do. It's simple and effective, and works. You know, I don't know. I mean, most of you will be with ticket agencies or have your own ticket agency, so that's a similar thing anyway. So it gives you all the same sort of stuff. Yeah. So that's that. Events. Anyone else?
There's a question, I think.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Hi, Mike. I think that's me. I was
Yeah.
just wondering, you were talking about creating your own Facebook group as a theatre. I was just wondering why that would be beneficial if you've already got the Facebook page. Like, what would you post differently in the group that you wouldn't post in the page, or how would you define that as differently to your Facebook page?
Yeah, it's a lot more interactive a group, you know, and you can build up a rapport and you can get more personal with people. Pages are really to sort of push things out there to say this is happening or whatever. It's you talking to them, whereas the groups are really interacting with your audience. So which I like a lot better. No one else? Good.
Cool. Thanks, Nick.
Okay.
Well, so just to kind of follow on from what Mike said, I believe we've circulated an audience pack previously, but we can have a quick run through that, and it kind of reiterates a lot of what Mike's just said. Just it's kind of a useful handout. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm a Zoom girl, so I'm not very good at this on Teams. Just try and do that. Sorry, give me a second.
Thank you for that, Mike. There were some good tips and tricks in there that I could use.
Cool. Can people see that?
Indeed, yes.
Excellent. Fine. So this is the pack that Frank has put together, which kind of cements a lot of what we've just discussed. But it's basically about remembering that those sort of community groups exist and how powerful they are in local areas. I think just to sort of add to that, the value of a group over a page, I believe that the page has become more almost like a website these days that people can like check for reference, whereas the groups become, and it definitely was the case during COVID, and I think a lot of that loyalty is stuck. It's become a place for sort of community conversation, really. It's become quite a trusted reference point, so people know, people kind of rely on the information in it and trust it a bit more than just sort of a generic website or kind of advert kind of thing. So it's that sort of reliable word of mouth thing that we're trying to tap into here, which obviously supplements all the kind of adverts and website and all the more formal practices as well, but it is just something to really consider, particularly given how this campaign is aimed at local communities and local venues. So yeah, I'll send this round, and we have run through it in a previous call, so I won't sort of waste a lot of time on it, but just so you kind of know the layout of it. So we've got a rough introduction to the whole process, a breakdown of audience segments and kind of understanding demographics, who they are, where they are, like how they behave, that kind of thing, which is also really useful to cross-reference with the audience agency that we spoke about, the references that we've used there. And then, in fact, Frank has linked to the audience agencies, even better. So with that, then it's about creating the right kind of copy and targeting the people in the right places. So with the two main ways we kind of find that works for that is community emails. So this is examples of kind of how to put together that research, which doesn't just take the form of arts venues. It's kind of looking at sort of understanding those behaviours and then knowing that, like, particularly for kind of house and heritage groups, which tend to be a little bit older, so that might be about approaching libraries and book groups and sort of places where those audiences might be, as well as other arts venues. So that's kind of a useful research just to kind of across the area. And that sort of works slightly differently in that you contact the kind of head person there and ask them to share the information within their own community via newsletter or flyer or however they reach them. But again, that means that the community are receiving the information from a trusted contact of theirs, from someone they already receive information from. And there's lots of helpful information on how to research and how to kind of store that, because it tends to be quite a wealth of information. And then the most appropriate copy. Frank's done a lot of work on kind of tried and tested methods of copy and how to structure things and stuff like that. So it is useful. And then building trackable links is you're probably already aware of how to do that we use Google Campaign URL Builder, because then you can understand who's clicking on links and how successful your campaign is, really, because otherwise it's just sort of putting it out there. Really, it's much harder to track than digital ads in that way. And seeding is the community Facebook groups we've been discussing. So again, it's a very sort of similar, lot of overlap in the emailing and seeding contacts, but just sort of techniques for doing that, how to do the research, how to contact the groups, how to not spam the groups, that kind of thing. Again, a lot of what Mike's discussed is in here. And trackable links, things that work and things that don't. So we'll send that pack round following this call, just so you all have it for reference. And then this is a newer pack that Frank has put together, which will also come around to you. We're just waiting on one final link to add to it, but this is the full pack of Take Your Seats, which complements the marketing packs for the actual shows as well. So there's a general overview to the scheme, some suggested tweets and Facebook posts and social media copy, and a suggested mailing email to send out to local community people. This is the audience information that we've discussed with the different targets that you might want to think about targeting the different audiences, sorry. And at the bottom are a lot of very useful links, including the trailer we're just finalising, so I'll add that in there, but that's a really useful asset for sharing. That focuses on the campaign as a whole, but includes a lot of the information about the shows as well, and sort of like cuts of the performances. This is our recently produced print and social media assets, which we'll pass around. So these are all, a lot of them are polished and ready to go for posters and flyers. And then these social assets are also take the form of templates, which you can add your own images and things to as well. And these are suggested social conversation starters. So they're posts that you can put up, and they might be useful for groups or just for your own channels, and to encourage engagement, really, and to make people like actually think. So some asking kind of asking questions on socials can encourage engagement and also sort of drag people into the conversation a bit more, which is really useful. And we've also, within that, we've got a link here, which is a screen share of how to edit those templates into your own images and any other sort of house style things that you need to keep in there. I've linked the audience pack that we've just discussed and the general Take the Seats guide, house website and press release as well are all there. So hopefully that's a useful collection of all the assets that you should need. Trailer will go in there as soon as it's ready. I'm just going to stop that screen share. But the final sort of thing to consider really is also using your own staff and your own venue as assets along with everything as well, because obviously everyone's got a vested interest in this campaign. So making sure that if you're posting things on socials, that you're encouraging other staff members and things to engage, to kind of start conversations is really useful. Your box office team are particularly useful in this for kind of upselling and mentioning the offer when people are booking tickets, people who may not already be aware of it, or just encouraging that kind of upselling. Really, we're going to put together a sort of crib sheet script that we'll send over for the basis of that kind of thing that they might want to add to calls or over the counter kind of sales, but obviously put your own spin on it with your own kind of venue style guidelines, but we'll send that around as well afterwards. I think that's it from me, unless there's any questions so far.
I did just want to add to what Mike and Anne said in terms of groups over pages. It's sort of Reddit versus Wikipedia, right? I'd recommend maybe making a group along the lines of, say, your theatre is Red Brick Theatre. Red Brick Theatre goers, or like Red Brick Theatre community, just like encouraging discussion and sharing.
Thanks, Frank. I think that's it then, unless anyone has anything else to add at this stage.
Yeah, thank you so much for that presentation. I think we'll share around the marketing pack shortly afterwards. As we say, the trailer is fantastic for audience facing, really explaining, simply it's 2-for-1 ticket scheme. Bring your, take your friend, take your mum, take your date, that sort of thing, which is quite playful, and we're working on as well. So as a reminder, there's a sort of 2 parts to this campaign. There's a sort of a central campaign that House and Mobius are looking after. We're working on a sort of the press, and we're looking at an advertising pack. We're looking at options through advertising on smart TVs, and we're looking at through YouTube advertising and through train advertising as well. So we're currently working on that package, which we are providing. That we're aware that venues individually would struggle to have the budget to do that, but as we're able to run this campaign with over 20 venues, we're looking at the wider support that we're offering. And then this marketing pack is going to be full of tools for you to share out locally to you as well. So I mean, that way hopefully we're going to be able to engage with audiences who just normally wouldn't come into their mindset to look for what's going on in their local venue. So hopefully with that sort of two waves that we should gather some interest as well. So yeah, that's where we are, what we're working on. So we're hoping to get the advertising campaign will start over the summertime, come into full effect from the start of September as well. Yeah, as well as those sort of groups to go after. There's definitely a very good access angle for the shows this autumn. I think you were talking about in there how Fatherhood has it's captions, integrated captions throughout, and we're also now doing for the rest of our lives. The whole tour is going to be BSL interpreted as well, so you can definitely go after some of your local deaf audiences as well, and that's a great opportunity for offering sort of 2-for-1 ticket scheme for those groups in particular. In terms of practicalities, I'm sure you're working on getting your autumn season on sale fairly soon, if not already. So a reminder of how it's going to work. You guys have a limited number of 2-for-1 seats that we are supporting, that we will subsidise for you. Whether you want to just offer it entirely and you make up the rest, we'll cover £200 worth of tickets. So there's obviously a slightly complicated system that I'm really happy to go through with you guys. So if you do want to drop me a line afterwards and say, can you just explain what I need to set up? But ideally what it is, it's a promo code on your system, which will, it's on a full price ticket. You'll get a free second ticket when you put in this code. And from our point of view, when you're sending us your weekly sales reports, if in that report it could include how many people are taking up the promo, that would be really helpful as well, just so we can judge the uptake, which areas, which theatres are getting the most interest, and where we can assist maybe with other theatres as well. Great. Does anyone have any questions about the campaign or the practicalities at this stage? No? Fantastic. Well, that all sounds really good. I'm really excited. I think like it's going to be definitely ramping up over the next few weeks. Yeah, we're around. If you want to talk to Mobius or myself, just drop me a line at any point. A reminder that the fatherhood call is, what time is it tomorrow? We're having the chats tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and then on the 18th of July is a very old man with enormous wings at 2 o'clock as well. So if you haven't signed up, if you haven't had a link to those chats with the creative teams, then please drop me a line afterwards and I'll share a link. Marvelous. Thank you very much for your time, and speak to you soon.
Thanks.